Hello, it's Julie here. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. It's time for today's Zephaniah Assembly. When I was a teenager, one of my favourite things to do in the summer, in the evenings, those long, light summer evenings before the sun goes down, was to go for a walk with my dad and my brother. After we'd finished our day's work or schoolwork and homework, we would go for a walk together and get some fresh air and have some nice chats. And it was just really nice summer's evening time that we spent together. And my dad's favourite walk was to climb the hill that was just near our house. And we could do that probably in about half an hour, 40 minutes walk from our home. So we would set off and off we'd go up the hill. And there were various routes you could take to get to the top of the hill. So depending what mood you were in or how you were feeling, you might choose to go a different way up the hill to reach the top. On one particular evening that I remember, there was me, there was my dad, and there was my big brother. And we were all going to climb the hill, as we often did, and we set off and we left our house. We kind of wound round the windy road that we lived on, and we went round the corner. We went up a little bit of the hill to the top of another road where there was a gate. We went through the gate. We went up the path a little way, and then there was a choice to make. You could either carry straight on up through a caravan park, or you could go left and make your way through the fields to the top of the hill. And on this day, my dad, who used to always be in charge of directions because he's good at directions, he decided we would go left through the fields. Now, this night in particular, this evening that we were walking, it was quite a nice, sunny, dry night. But in the week or so running up to it, it had been quite rainy. So walking through the fields meant that we were going on wet mud rather than concrete paths through the caravan park. So I would probably have chosen the other way, but we went with it. We went through the field with my dad, and we walked across the first field, and it was a little bit wet and a little bit spongy, shall we say, underfoot, but it wasn't too bad. We got across the first field, we got to the second field, across that, we got to the third field, and we went through the gate. And huddled in the corner of the field at the top of it, there was a herd of cows. Now, I have to tell you a little kind of secret about me, which is not something that I'm particularly proud of myself for, because it is a little bit silly, but I get nervous around certain things that aren't really very scary. Like, I get a bit nervous about spiders. I get a little bit nervous about, this one's really silly, but if you go to someone's house for dinner and they put all the food out on the table for you to serve yourself, I get a bit nervous about that, because I think, what if I take too much food, then there isn't enough for everyone else and I look greedy? But then what if I worry about that too much and then I don't take enough food and then I get hungry later? What about that? So that makes me quite nervous. And I also feel quite nervous around cows. That is silly, isn't it? I am a fully grown woman. I ought to be able to walk past some cows without feeling nervous and a bit worried. But we all have things that make us feel a bit nervous. That is one of mine. So, remember, I was a teenager at this point. We were in this field and we could see the cows in the far corner of the field. And my dad and my brother started to walk towards them. I was like, what are you doing? Why would you choose to walk past those cows? Do you know what they might do? I mean, I don't know what I thought they would do. Probably nothing. Cows don't usually do things, do they, to people? But I was quite worried about, why are you going near the cows? And they went, well, because that's the way to the top of the hill. I went, we can't walk past the cows. They went, why not? I said, well, they make me nervous. I don't trust them. They looked at me like I was ridiculous, which is probably how you are looking at me right now, because it is quite ridiculous. But they were like, it's fine, we can walk past the cows, it's absolutely fine, just walk with us and it'll be okay. But I was insistent I was not walking past those cows. So they said, well, the only other way to get across this field is that way. And they pointed towards one of the boggiest patches of ground, really wet and muddy, that kind of that kind of mud that you know would make that noise if you got stuck in it. And they pointed, they went, that's the only other way is to go across there. And I said, well, be better than the cows, wouldn't it? And I made us go that way. I'm going to tell you now, it would have been better to go past the cows. It was a foolish decision of mine based on a ridiculous fear of something that isn't even scary. Don't be like me. Don't be afraid of cows. They're fine. I regret my choice. Should have gone past the cows. However, we set off towards the boggy patch of ground. And we got to the edge of it, and my dad walked across, and then my brother walked across, and then I stood there and I looked at it and I stopped. And they turned around, they were like, what now? I mean, I think they were probably wishing they hadn't taken me on the walk at this point. They were like, what now? I said, I can't walk across that. Look, it's all wet and boggy. There's no way across. They were like, oh, we've managed to walk across it, all right. I was like, I can't do that. I'm too scared. I'll get stuck in the mud. I was very nervous about many things. And they said, no, it's fine. Look, you can just walk across it. You wouldn't walk past the cows. Now you're going to have to just walk across the mud. It's okay. We've done it. And I stood there. I didn't know what to do. And eventually my dad said, I tell you what. I will tell you. I'll point and tell you where to put your feet. I'll show you the bits of ground and the stones that are safe to stand on. And I'll guide you across one step at a time. Okay? He was far more patient with me than I probably would have been. I said, okay, let's do that. So he looked at where I was stood and then he pointed. He said, right, put your left foot there. I put my left foot there. It was okay. Right foot there. I put my right foot down. It was okay. Left foot, right. Left, right. And he was guiding me across the patch of mud. It was okay. Until halfway across the patch of mud, I realised what I was doing. I suddenly realised I'd got myself right into the middle of the boggiest bit and I had no idea really how I was going to get out of it. I was just listening to what my dad said. And what if he didn't really know? What if he got it wrong and I got stuck? And I stopped listening to him in my panic. And then I stopped moving. Do you know what happened when I stopped moving? I started sinking. My left foot went all the way down into the mud until I could no longer see my own shoe. And the other foot sank in a little bit too, although I could still see the top of my shoe on that one. But my left foot disappeared into the mud. I was like, what am I going to do now? It's got my foot. Ah! My dad and my brother did what any self-respecting father and brother would do. They laughed at me for some time for getting myself stuck in the mud like an idiot. And then they told me to pull my leg out. So I did. I got hold of my leg and I pulled it out with a... I told you it'd make that kind of noise if you got something stuck in it. I had mud all the way up my leg, over the knee, onto the top bit of my leg. I was covered in it. My other foot was covered in it, up halfway up the bottom bit of my leg, halfway to my knee. I was very dirty, far too dirty to continue with the walk. And we had to turn around and go all the way back home so I could clean myself up because I was a pretty gruesome sight, to be honest. I was very dirty. So off we went, back home, in through the back door where we had to clean ourselves up. And we did not make it to the top of the hill that day. We had to give up and try again the next day. But my dad and brother did get a lovely opportunity to laugh at me for the day that I was so frightened of cows I got myself stuck in a clump of mud. But I was thinking about it, this experience. You see, the thing that went wrong was that it's okay to be nervous and it's okay to seek help. But then I stopped trusting the help that I had. I stopped listening to my dad. And when I stopped listening, my fear overwhelmed me and then I got myself into trouble. That's not very clever, is it? Sometimes we need to be able to see when we need help and listen to the people that we know are the right people to help us and give us good advice. Now, it reminded me a little bit, my dad guiding me across the mud one step at a time. Because when I listened to him do that, everything was fine. And it reminded me of a little bit in the Bible, in the Psalms, which are a kind of collection of poetry that people wrote to God. And one of the verses in the Psalms says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." It says, your word, God's word, is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And what that means is, when the person writing the psalm felt stuck, they turned to what they knew God had said, and that guided them one step at a time, like a lamp in the darkness or a light for their feet, one step at once. Sometimes, maybe we're not quite sure what to do. Maybe we feel a bit stuck and we're looking at a situation in front of us and we think, what should I do next? How should I get across this patch of sticky mud? What is the right thing to do? And at times like that, I think it's a good idea to look around for the things God has put in place to help us take one step at a time. And that might be looking for the people like my dad who could help me take one step at a time, literally, and do the right thing one step at a time, and I was okay while I listened to him. Or it might be remembering the things we know about what God has told us, or what people we love and trust have told us about the right things to do. And we can stop and go, what is the next right thing? What is the next right step? What is the kind thing, the caring thing? What is the loving thing? What is the thing that will be the right thing for me and the right thing for the people around me? And we can take it one step, one decision at a time. Because, do you know, when I did that on my walk, I was fine. It was only when I stopped trusting the person who was guiding me through it that I got myself well and truly stuck. Although even then, my dad was still there. Even if we do the wrong thing and get ourselves stuck, God is still there to help us pull our foot out of the mud and clean ourselves up. So, that is what I'd like you to remember today. Don't be like me. Don't be frightened of cows. Don't forget to listen to the people that God puts around us that we can trust to help us make good decisions. But if you do, then it's okay to be like me. Pull yourself up out of the mud that you've got yourself stuck in. Go and clean yourself up and start again. Because it's okay to do that, you know. Remember, God's word, the things he teaches us, or the things that the people he places around us can teach us. The people we trust, the things they teach us. Those things can be a lamp to our path and a light to our feet, to guide us one step at a time. Sometimes that's enough. I'm going to go now. I might even go out for a walk. Probably won't go anywhere near any cows, although it would be okay if I did. And hopefully I won't get myself stuck in any mud, and I might see you again pretty soon. See you later.